This is Actualize Freedom, straight talk on growing clicks and conversions on Amazon FBA from people doing it every day. Now here's your host, digital marketing acrobat, Danny Kenji Carlson.
What's up, guys? Danny Carlson here with the Actualize Freedom podcast, and today we're diving deep on Amazon PPC from one of the guys who has grown a PPC agency really fast based on his own success with his PPC tactics. We have today on Mina Elias, and he is going into Amazon PPC not from the perspective of someone who is one of these software companies, which is interesting as well, but from someone who actually is an operator in the PPC. And I'd like to welcome Mina Elias to the podcast. How you doing, man?
Amazing, man. Excited to be here. Excited to chat. Looking forward to having an awesome conversation about a lot of cool things.
Heck yeah, man. First thing I'd like to ask you, super juicy, and this splits the PPC community a lot, is automation. What do you think about using one of these AI automation PPC softwares versus having a human in there making those decisions themselves?
Totally against automation. I am definitely one of those guys that is against it. It's kind of, there's two reasons I'm against it. The first reason, personally, for my own brand is that you don't understand exactly how that automation is working. If it's rule-based automation, which is like the most simple form, if this, then that, here's the issue. What if you're hitting a Prime Day, which was just last week, and all of your ACOSs are high because people are window shopping and not really converting? You might kill a bunch of keywords or lower the bids on a bunch of keywords, which then when Prime Day hits, you're nowhere to be found because the rule is a computer that doesn't think. What if you set these rules and then they take place, and then you realize while you're monitoring that they're hurting, they're more than helping because maybe you over constrained or something like that. Then you need to readjust all of your rules. But because the rules, they're just running without thinking. They're not looking at the data saying, I looked at the data, I ran a set of rules, they hurt me, so I'm going to change those rules. So that's not how it works. So that's with the rule-based. And then AI, who the hell knows what I mean, come on, you really think there's AI here when you have Elon Musk has AI, maybe, yeah. Not these software companies. I don't think so. I think it's a marketing tactic. And now here's the third and the most crucial reason why I'm against automation. If you want something that is going to make your life easier, like bulk operations, that's totally fine. I'm all for bulk operations where you look at the analytics, you say, okay, I need to make a decision. I need to, any keyword that's spent over $10 with no sales, I want to add those as negatives and auto brought on phrase, things like that. That's cool. And it allows you to make decisions at scale. But what if, you set these automations and then you stop paying attention? This is the biggest fear for me. If I bring any sort of automation for my team, who are serving my clients, for them to set up a bunch of automations and then just let it run. And then maybe one day they're tired or whatever. They're like, I'm just not going to check the automation to make sure it's making all the right decisions. Just let it run. It's been working fine for the last 3 weeks. And then someone's money gets burned. And this is real money. This is real. When I built my brand, it's my money. It's my credit card, that I maxed out so I can get out of the 9-to-5 rut. So I can't look a brand in the eye and tell them we're going to run your ads and we're going to do the best job we can, knowing that there is a chance that one of my team members, no matter how amazing they are, they could be having a bad day. They fought with their spouse or something, and they set up the automation. They're like, fuck it, I'm just going to let it run. And then it hurts the brand. And so that's the reason I'm against automation.
Yeah, and it's still going to be a while, I think, before the automation's at a point where it's going to be superior to a human manager, because language and shopping behavior is not robotic, right? Humans make shopping behaviors based on emotions and things that are very hard to program to computer software. And even just language alone, it's really difficult sometimes to find out the shopper's intent through certain keyword searches. Sometimes the keyword search is actually for a completely different product, but the computer wouldn't know that because it just sees these 3 words in the order, and then it assumes that it's going to be for something. So these little nuances are very difficult for a computer to figure out, and often they won't figure it out very well. And let me know if you've seen something like this, Mina, but quite often we'll see these AI softwares just create an absolute spider web of different campaigns and messes that are almost impossible for a human manager to go in there and make any sense of. Like the AI will just create like 100 campaigns with all these random names that don't seem to have any structure to them. Have you ever ran into accounts that previously were ran by AI that looked like that?
Too many times. We recently took over one account, and the sales were going steady and they were increasing, and then all of a sudden all that person did was turn off the automation and the software, which should just let the campaigns be, right? I mean, from one day to the next, nothing should happen. But literally all of his sales took a nosedive. And I think it took us about 3 months to recover, to get back to somewhere similar to where we were before. And, honestly, I feel like this is one of the biggest issues is, let's say you do choose to use automation. The problem isn't even during the automation. It's if you decide to try a different software or maybe use a human being, that 9 times out of 10, your campaigns get ruined and destroyed on the way down or on the way out. So I think that's also a huge negative, thing. And I'm not against software companies. I am all for software companies that empower people to make decisions at scale and more intelligently. Like Helium 10 Atomic, they have a lot of like cool features. They're coming out with a lot of bulk features where you can change things. You can go and look at like your last like 4 bids or 5 bids and what the ACOS was at each bid level, and kind of you can make better decisions. You can see where your keyword is, where it's ranked sponsored, where it's ranked organically, and what the bid is, and you can do some filters and make some changes. But the having like that, let's click a button and automatically optimize your campaigns, I think that's very negative, and it hurts campaigns more than it helps them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the role of software should be to make a PPC manager more efficient instead of replace a PPC manager, right? And I understand there's lots of entrepreneurs out there, lots of Amazon sellers who just don't have the time or they don't want to learn anything about PPC, and that's totally great. But I would also challenge you to ask yourself if Amazon ads is an important enough part of your business that you should at least dedicate enough time to understand what's going on. Because if you don't understand at all what's going on, you're literally at the mercy of this software you're trusting or the manager that you're working with, your agency or whatever. You literally are completely at their mercy, right? An entrepreneur, in my opinion, should at least know enough to know if their software or their manager is doing a good job and can work with them on some strategies, right? What do you think about that?
100%. I totally agree. This is actually one of the things that I talk about the most, and I'm so against the whole hire to your weakness sort of thing, where you're immediately like, I don't like PPC. It's a weakness. I'm going to hire it out. Instead, if you can pay consultants to teach you enough PPC so that now you understand, okay, this is how we're going to scale, could launch campaigns, increase bids, increase budgets, do all these things. And then when you bring someone on and you're asking them, you're like, what did you do? We're trying to optimize these campaigns and get them more profitable. What did you do? And if they can't explain to you that they added negatives, they lowered bids, they looked at bid by placement, reduced some of the things that weren't working, then you're like, you don't know what you're doing. You're not helping me. If you can't keep that person accountable, you're right. You're at the mercy of that person. And so I'm all for, before giving something out, learn enough that you're, dangerous enough to keep the person that you're going to give it out to accountable.
Yeah, I've seen a case where there was one client that we reviewed their account when they first came on, and their previous agency was not doing a very good job. And you look in the account history, Amazon added that, the history, you can see all the changes and bid changes and everything that were made. And there wasn't one single change on the entire account for more than 1 year. So
Wow.
That's what can happen if you're really not paying attention. If you're just sleeping and you're just trusting someone to do the job.
They're like, the ACOS is good. Just let it be. They don't know any better.
Yeah, just leave it. That's fine. It's working. But so what would you say to someone who they have no idea what Amazon ads is? Like what are the core parts of Amazon ads that at least they should be able to understand so that they can make good decisions, right? Because it's more complicated than just like, okay, money in, money out, right?
Totally. First of all, if you don't understand anything about Amazon ads, I literally have like 100+ videos out there explaining every piece of Amazon advertising. I don't have any secrets. Our agency doesn't have any secrets. We sell the execution. We do not sell, any secret sauce. So that's the first thing is go out and learn. If you need to hire consultants, hire them. There's so many conferences out there. Helium 10 is going to have a conference. There's at least 4 PPC speakers. You can ask all these people questions. So the number one thing is go and seek that knowledge. Number two is the purpose, in my opinion, the true goal of PPC is to drive traffic as cheap as possible. And so that is by being efficient with your ads and by ranking keywords organically, because when you rank them organically, they get you traffic for free. So the way to look at it is there's 2 modes. When you're running your ads, you're either scaling and you're trying to increase spend, get more people into the listing. But in that case, when you're doing that, you're probably testing a bunch of different keywords. You don't know which ones are working, which ones are not. And after a while, you're going to realize some of them are working, some of them are not. The ones that are working, you keep them. The ones that are not, you remove them. And then you go into this profitability phase where you've tested a bunch of keywords, you've grown your revenue, you've grown the number of people that are coming into the listing, and now you're just eliminating everything that didn't work, keeping what did work, and now you run profitably. And then you go through another cycle where you test a bunch of new keywords. And so the whole goal is it's like, I always use this analogy, it's like fishing, and I don't know which bait is going to work. So I throw like 10 baits in the water, and then maybe 3 of them work and 7 that don't work. So I remove the 7 that don't work, I keep the 3, I throw 10 new ones. 3 work, 7 don't. Now I have 6 in the water working. I remove that 7, and then I put another 10, and now I have 9 in the water that's working and 7 that's not working, and I pull them out. And so with my budget, with my advertising budget, I'm continuing. Initially, it's $100 test, 100% test budget, and it becomes less and less test budget as you find keywords that are working. So if I'm spending $100 a day, initially $100 are all for testing. 20 of them actually perform. The other $80 kind of go to waste. They bought us data and they told us these are not the right keywords. So now I have 20 that's actively running, and then I take that $80 and I launch $80 worth of new campaigns. And then I find $20 worth of keywords now that are working and keep those. And so that's kind of how it works is you start by launching campaigns, testing different keywords. And then there's all the little nuances. So there's, you want to have a single ad group in each campaign so that the budget doesn't, get split weird and just goes all to one. You don't want to have too many keywords in a campaign because then, only a few keywords are getting the budget, the others are not. So keep it, under 5 keywords per campaign, 1 ad group per campaign, big budget, like $100, control your spending through your bids. And then just launch. Auto broaden phrase will help you discover new keywords. So you can launch auto, you can, separate the auto campaigns into 4, close match, loose match, complement, substitutes, break them up, have some main keywords as broaden phrase and exact, and then go into the search term report, identify what worked, extract that, launch them in more campaigns to test. And then the ones that didn't work, you can extract all of the keywords that didn't work from the search term report, add them as negatives, and then just continue to do that process. Again, this is like an oversimplified view, but this is exactly, the goal is to just identify as many keywords that you can be profitable on, let them generate traffic, bring people into your listing, and then also understand the equation. So obviously a huge part of what you do is listing optimization, because PPC does not make you sales actually. PPC only brings people into your listing, and then the other half of it is the conversion rate, which is dependent on main image, price, reviews, bullet points, enhanced brand content, videos, whatever, all of this other stuff that's on the listing that obviously you're an expert at. And so be sure that you're tracking both and you're saying, okay, I'm bringing people into the listing, yes or no? How much is each person coming into the listing costing me? What is my conversion rate? Is my conversion rate good enough for me to ever become profitable? Or am I low profit because of my conversion rate or because I'm spending too much on traffic? So also understand that relationship.
Yeah, that's a really important relationship. I just want to expand on that a little bit. We do have some PPC clients who have lots and lots of products, and they've been selling for many years, and some of their listings are more than 5 years old, 6, 7 years old, and they don't really have a whole lot on there. And we see that in the PPC data. These products, they were doing well in PPC years ago, But now on Amazon, where there's just a lot more competition, just the level overall on Amazon has gotten higher, right? So the level of competition, they're creating better listings, they know how to market better and things like this. And over time, those campaigns, some of them have gone from working well to not even being able to be profitable. And we tell these to the clients, like, okay, we've pretty much done everything we can on the PPC side here. It's really down to the listing side. You have 3 photos on this listing, for example, and you don't have A+ content, you don't have the video. It's probably time to upgrade that. And we've done that a few times where we take one of those listings that wasn't performing and then create better photos and everything like that. And we see that in the PPC performance as well, the increase in the performance. Do you recommend that as another kind of avenue to help the PPC sometimes?
That's a huge lever you can pull to help the PPC, because for the exact same ad spend, you could make $1,000 in sales or $2,000 in sales, and your ACOS could go from a 70% ACOS to a 35% ACOS just because you improved your conversion rate. So PPC is only half the battle. You need to be also working on the other half of the battle, which is the conversion rate. And I do notice a huge difference. Like, we had this one client and we scaled them a lot. And then they're like, Mina, we need to increase our prices. I said, fine, just be careful. They increased their prices significantly. And all of a sudden, we used to have about a 12% or 13% ACOS. They're like a older client and they wanted like a very low ACOS. And then all of a sudden, our ad spend almost doubled. Our sales were cut in half, and we're now seeing a 25 to 30% ACOS, just because their conversion rate really dropped after that price increase. So you don't think that PPC, you have to focus only on PPC to fix your PPC. A huge part of it is your conversion rate, because your PPC needs to pass through that conversion rate to end up becoming a sale. And so if that conversion rate is low, it's impossible to ever win. If that conversion rate is very high, you can probably spend way more and be inefficient in your ads and still become very profitable. So definitely don't sleep on conversion rates.
Yeah, and that's such an important piece, because paying for ads to a listing that's not well performing is just a big waste of money, right? Just think about that. If you're paying for 100 clicks to a listing and your conversion rate is half as good as it could be, then you're essentially just wasting half of those clicks, and that's half of your ad spend money just going down the drain, right? And that's a pretty dramatic example, but I mean, for most people, that's happening on some level, right? Maybe it's only a 5 or a 10% decrease in your conversion rate, which is not going to show up very much, right? Your conversion rate, maybe that's 0.1% conversion rate. That would mean that 5 or 10% difference in your actual revenue from your Amazon ads, right? And it's not that comfortable to go and look through the spreadsheets and do these calculations and everything like that. But at the end of the day, these little calculations, these 0.1% click-through rates and these 0.1% conversion rates and things like that, translate to usually hundreds or thousands of dollars if you're spending thousands of dollars every month on Amazon ads, right?
Exactly. And yeah, I think what I've noticed is every single 3 months, even though I optimize my listing, everyone around me gets way better. So I really distinctly remember this, because I looked at everyone and I did this whole competitive analysis, and I pulled everyone's listing and images and all this stuff, and I rebuilt my whole listing to be better than everyone else, and it looked really good. And then I think 3 or 4 months later, I obviously stopped looking at that anymore. I said, okay, I optimized my listing, I'm done. And then 3 or 4 months later, I start browsing to look at my competitors, and they've all improved significantly better than I am. And I realized that, this is kind of like a never ending process of how can I continuously be better. And what I think, something I also noticed as a supplement brand was in 2018, there was a certain look that everyone liked. And in 2022 now, there's another look that everyone liked. And because I never changed and this is I'm talking product packaging now, right? Which is not just the listing images, it's like the actual label. But because I never upgraded my packaging to look to match the times and to maybe appeal to a more female consumer base, because those are the people that are consuming more of my products, I think I'm probably holding myself back from a lot of sales.
Yeah, that's a really good point about continual improvement. And one thing I think people don't consider as well is just market fatigue, right? So this happens all the time in the digital marketing space where someone will be really successful with some kind of Facebook ads or some kind of marketing tactic. And in the digital marketing industry, everybody copies the successful people, right? There's literally these software tools that are designed to just like what is being the most successful with ads, and just everyone's looking at that and copying it, right? And so what happens very quickly is everybody copies the people who are successful, and then the success of that strategy just drops very, very quickly because all of a sudden people are now seeing so many different versions of the exact same style of ad, and it doesn't work anymore, right? At a certain point, and then it has to be something else, and they have to innovate and come up with something else that is going to be better. And you see that on Amazon as well with the listings, especially in supplements where it's just so competitive and there's so many competitors. The top competitor will often have everybody trying to rip off their exact listing style. They have the same main image, they'll have the same infographics and everything like that. And the customer, if they see the same freaking thing on every single listing, it's probably not going to be as effective as if you create something that's different and stands out and is better than what's there, instead of just copying the person who's making the most sales.
Exactly. It really, I think after COVID, it's too competitive. Everyone from retail is now on Amazon. Everyone who was direct to consumer is now on Amazon. They've all realized the power of Amazon because when COVID hit, Amazon sales, I don't know if you experienced any of this, but for me, I think 2020 was one of my highest revenue years ever. And still we haven't even reached back to those levels yet. Everyone realized the power of Amazon. Everyone's coming on Amazon. And now you're no longer just competing with people like us who are like, let's make money on the side and, let's build our own business or our own brands and stuff like that on Amazon. You're now competing with Unilever and Nestle and all this stuff. And they, after Thrasio kind of came out and had $1 billion valuation, everyone in the world now realizes that this is an industry. And so Nestle is probably finding people like me and like you, and they're saying, hey, like, we'll acquire your agency for your knowledge and your talent. And now you're basically training a conglomerate like Nestle on how to beat regular Amazon sellers like me and you. And they have much deeper pockets. They have billions of dollars in budgets for advertising, for creative, for whatever. So it's no longer now a game where you can win by like maybe hacking the algorithm and having an okay listing. It's very competitive, and I think it is what it is. Like every gold mine, when everyone finds out about it, everyone comes and everyone found out about Amazon, and now the playing field is going to be pretty level.
Yeah, absolutely. And now let's talk a little bit about some PPC hacks. This is the stuff that people love, like maybe little strategies about a certain campaign that they may not have set up, or a certain strategy with like product targeting or something that they can go and implement in their Amazon PPC account today.
Yeah, so one that I love that not a lot of people do is targeting newest arrivals. And regularly, like I think once a week, we'll go in and I'll type in my main keywords, and in the Amazon search on the top right, you'll see it says it's sorted by featured. You can change that from featured to newest arrivals. And what that will do is it'll show you all of the brand new brand new products for that keyword that I just launched on Amazon. A lot of these products are still in the honeymoon phase. A lot of them don't have optimized listings. They don't have reviews. And so you can target those newest arrivals. And even if you do make one sale here, one sale there from them, those sales will add up because there's hundreds of newest arrivals every single month. So that's an easy campaign to set up and an easy campaign to win because those guys in the honeymoon phase, Amazon is showing them a lot. So they are getting more sessions than they normally would. Probably in a month or two, that'll die down. That's one thing I really like to do. Another thing is, I promise you, just go home, go into your campaigns, sort by ROAS, the highest to smallest, and then anything with a good ROAS, even if you're not hitting your budgets, I want you to scale that budget to like $500 and see what happens. And for me, like there was one instance of one client where we did that, and we went from 6,000 a day to 12,000 a day in revenue just by increasing. And they were like, you guys are amazing. And I was like, we're not amazing. All we did was increase your budgets. We haven't even started like doing real work yet. So those are two things that I think anyone can implement pretty easily. And honestly, I mean, the tough pill to swallow is for you to really master your PPC. I think you have to have a good system. So I would write it down, a system, a process, how often you're going to check your ads, what the criteria is for each ad. So basically, like if you're doing a bulk sheet optimization, what's the different criteria? What are you going to lower? What are you going to increase? And really just dive into the bulk sheet and read column by column, understand it. I know there's a lot of people that have videos about it on YouTube. I'm going to be releasing a video out soon. So there's just a ton of opportunity here to kind of learn and get it done. And I honestly think like the biggest hack for you in terms of PPC is where everyone is running away from learning the dirty, nasty stuff. You can lean in, even if you're not a numbers person, but anyone can be good enough to read a bulk sheet for PPC.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely worth putting in the time and the energy, I think. And one strategy I'd like to add in there that not a lot of people are doing, I call this real estate campaign. So it's product targeting for your other products on your own products. So you're setting your own products as target. This is only if you have multiple products, right? And you're running ads for your other products on your own product pages. And what that's doing is that's blocking your other competitors' ads from showing up there. So instead of your competitors' ads showing up on your own products, it's going to be your ads. And so you're stopping the customers from potentially leaking out of your funnel, so to speak, to your competitors. But then you'll also find that your average order value is going to go slightly up. You're going to go a little bit more people actually purchasing multiple of your products, assuming that they are complementary. So it's kind of 2 for 1. And you'll find that those campaigns typically perform very well, assuming that your products are, for the same customer. You're not selling like dildos and also kitchen products at the same time. Well, actually, maybe those two would go together okay, the same customer. But as long as your products are similar enough to each other, you'll find a lot of synergy there. And just if it's only for the benefit of blocking your competitors from stealing your sales through the product targeting ads, I think it's worth it for that benefit.
Yeah, and since we're talking about blocking your competitors, so another cool thing is you'll notice if you create virtual bundles, you'll push the sponsored products on your detail page under the fold. So whenever someone is browsing and looking at your product, if you have virtual bundles, that will show before the sponsored ads. And what that will do is if generally someone clicks on your listing and sees you and then on the same page sees that there's another competitor that has 10,000 reviews, that will get pushed down. That competitor will still be there, but they won't be there at first glance. The shopper will have to scroll down more. And so that helps also, block some sellers or at least move them below the fold instead of being above the fold.
Oh yeah, that's a great one too. And kind of on the same vein too, you should be bidding on your own brand name as well. This is a universal strategy, like for Google Ads, for any kind of search marketing. And guys in Google Ads been doing this for decades, but just if you have a brand name that is an actual unique name, obviously you can't do this if your brand name is something super generic, it's not going to work. But as long as your brand name is something unique, like Kenji ROI, right? My agency name there's no one searching for that unless they're searching for Kenji ROI. Nike, a unique brand name. Really, really easy way to do that is you set up a campaign and use a broad match modifier. So you set it up in broad match, your exact name with a plus in front of it, and choose broad match. And what that does is that it's going to include every single possible keyword target that includes your brand name, and it's going to add any words before it or after it, but it's not going to show anything that doesn't include your exact brand name within the search. And so you don't have to go create a giant list of different keywords that include your brand name. You can just put that one broad match modified target. So again, you choose broad match and you put the plus symbol before your brand name, no space in between the plus symbol and the actual keyword. And that's the simplest way to set it up. You literally put one target in there.
Dude, that's definitely, everyone should be doing this. Even if you think that no one is looking for you, it's not true. Trust me. I used to think that no one was looking for me when I first launched. And I created an auto campaign, and then I realized that some of the keywords that were converting were people searching for my product with its brand name. And I said, that's insane. Like, how does anyone know? But it could be that they saw your product and then they're looking for it again. And so they're looking by the name. They're like, oh, Hydrolite, that was a cool product. Let me, when I get home, I'll buy it. And they go home and they type it in the search. And if they can't find it, or your competitors are right there with 20,000 reviews, it's lost sales right there.
Absolutely. Just, I mean, think about your own shopping behavior. I say this a lot in the podcast, but it really is one of the best ways for you to understand how you can market to people better. When you're shopping in your own behavior online, how often are you using a brand name for something you didn't even know? Maybe you saw it 2 minutes ago. You saw this product 2 minutes ago, but you closed the window and you're trying to find it again, right? You're going to search for the brand name because you're like, what was that one? It was, not Hydro Flask. I forgot the name of your brand.
Hydrolite.
Hydrolite. Fleshlight. No, not Fleshlight either. But yeah, it's really a lot more people are searching for your brand name than you might think, right? They just saw it 2 minutes ago, or maybe their previous customer who purchased it before, they want to purchase another one. And you'll be amazed at how well those keyword campaigns around your brand perform a lot of the time. A lot of the time they are 5% ACoS, 4% ACoS. Like, they perform really well because usually that's super high buyer intent keyword, right? They're searching exactly for your brand. They know what they want already, and they're gonna go straight to buy, right? They're probably not comparing and contrasting if they're searching for your brand. And again, you want to block your competitors from bidding on your brand name, right? You don't want their ads showing up if they're trying to bid on your brand name and stuff like that. Technically they're not supposed to be doing that, but people do it anyways, right?
Exactly. And it might as well be you versus someone else, right? Because if you're not going to be there, someone else is going to be there. So why should it be someone else?
Totally, man. But Mina, anything else that you think that people really should know about Amazon ads, or another juicy golden nugget or something like that?
Yeah, here's a golden nugget, right? If you want to figure out what's the issue with your ads, this is exactly what you should do. Go and look at your PPC spend for the last 30 days for any product, and let's say that's $1,000. Then go to your reports, business reports, and go to detail page sales and traffic by child or by parent, depending on how you're running the campaigns. And then look at the number of sessions that you got for that same time period. So let's assume it's 1,000 sessions. So $1,000, 1,000 sessions. You're spending $1 for each session. So that's your cost per session is $1 per session. Now go and look at your unit session percentage in that same business report, and let's assume it's 20%. Do 1 divided by 20%, that number is 5. So that means you need 5 sessions to make 1 conversion. And if you're $1 per session, that means $1 times 5 sessions per conversion is $5 to make a conversion. And that's currently your cost of acquisition, blended, paid and organic. So the next thing is understand how much profit you have before ads. So take your sale price, let's say it's $20, minus your Amazon fees, $5, minus your cost of goods, $5. You're left with $10 before ads. And if your cost per acquisition is $5, you're left with $5 in net profit after ads per unit. If that number is too low, so if that number is, let's say, is $1 or it's negative $2, start diagnosing the following. So first of all, there's 2 ways to improve that. If your cost per session is too high, you can either lower it by going in, identifying non-profitable search terms, adding them as negatives, lowering bids, things like that. That will drop the cost per session. Also, increasing your organic rank will increase the number of sessions, and so since that denominator increases, your cost per session will go down. And so go look at your percentage of sales, PPC versus organic, and if you notice that a majority of them are coming from PPC, you might need to focus a little bit more on ranking organically, which the process of doing that is spending a lot of money on PPC for a certain keyword, getting a lot of conversions. Hopefully that increases your organic rank. Now, the second part of that equation is you look at the conversion rate and identify how much higher does your conversion rate need to be so that if instead of 20%, it's 33%, And so you need 3 sessions to make one conversion. 3 times $1, that's $3. That's your $3 cost per acquisition. And since you had $10, before ads, you're left with 7. So that's nicer than 5. And then the final piece of the puzzle is your price. So again, to increase that net profit per unit, you can increase the price. So if your price is $20, you can sell it for $22. And now instead of having 10, you have 12. And if your cost per acquisition is 5, instead of being left with 5 in profit per unit, you're left with 7. But remember, when you increase your price, you might experience lower conversion rates. So make sure that you're monitoring both. And maybe if you just inch your price up and you have your competitors are all in the same range, you could get away with the same conversion rate with a little bit of higher price. But that's how to diagnose exactly what's going on and what's wrong with your campaigns. Is the cost per session too high? Go look at your ads and go look at where you're overspending, where you need to add negatives or lower the bids. Is your conversion rate too low? Go to Kenji ROI, get them to fix your listing. Or is your price maybe too low? Try inching up your price and seeing how much you can get away with without dropping your conversion rate too much, and then figure out at what point you get the lowest cost per acquisition and highest dollar amount in profit per unit after ads.
Boom. Couldn't have said it better right there, man. Just understanding the actual levers of what is driving your Amazon sales. That's such an important tip there that I know for a fact that a lot of people listening don't have the best grasp of, or at least not as much as they should, right? So that is a great tip right there. One thing I'll add on to that is for people selling high price products, you also got to remember that your cost per acquisition, right? If you're selling a $100 product, for example, and your profitable sale is 30% ACoS, let's say, so you're willing to spend up to $30, that means that you shouldn't be shutting off keywords that have spent $10 or $20, because it could have still been profitable. If you make a sale with anywhere within $30, it's still a good sale, right? So if you're watching these YouTube videos and it says shut off anything that spent $10 and not getting a sale, for you, that's not correct. You got to be looking at your own profitable sale amount, and you should be spending up to maybe $30 to see if it's going to make a good sale, right? So something to keep in mind for the higher price product people there. It's not about the dollar amount, it's about a percentage relative to what is a profitable sale for your product.
Yeah, and generally, because there is a portion of organic sales that is benefited from ads, sometimes that 30% you can actually get away with 50%, because at 50%, even though you're spending a little bit more, but you're overcompensating with the organic sales, or you're compensating with the organic sales. And so when you mix it together, your total advertising cost of sales is like 15 or 10. And so you're happy with that. Versus, if you try and optimize with 30, you might feel like it's a little bit constrained and you're losing sales. So don't be afraid to you're right. A lot of people are like, if you spend $10 and it's like, it doesn't have to be that strict. You have to gather your own data. You have to say, okay, let's try it at 70%, at 60%, at 50, at 20%, and then figure out at what range you found the best results.
Yeah, great point on that. So awesome, Mina. Appreciate you coming on here and sharing your wisdom. If people want to reach out to you, your agency, or just follow you online, where's the best place for them to do that?
So, if you want to reach out to the agency, it's triviumco.com, where we always offer a free audit and a consultation. So basically take a look at your accounts and let you know what's wrong and how to fix it. To reach me personally, I am at the Mina Elias on Instagram, and then Mina Elias on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I'm very accessible, so you can hit me up anywhere. I'll answer your questions. And hopefully this podcast was valuable.
Awesome, man. Is that Trivium, the same as there's a metal band I used to listen to when I was a teenager? Yeah.
Yeah. You're one of the very few people that recognizes the name.
Is that where it came from? From the metal band?
No, I had no idea. So Trivium means like the intersection of three things, or like where like 3 roads meet, something like that. And so I was like, oh, this is super cool because it represents like being the best in the world and adding value and doing something that you love. And so that I was like, I wanted something that had the meaning of like 3, And so, Trivium was like a cool name. And then I realized it was a rock band, and I was like, oh man.
Got to make a theme song with one of their metal tracks. That'd be awesome.
Exactly.
But cool, man. I'll put all those links in the show notes for you guys, as always, at kenjiroi.com/blog. And until next time, guys, go out there, kick some ass, make some PPC sales, and get closer to world domination. See you next time.
For show notes and resources mentioned in this episode, visit kenjiroi.com.